Boom. What is going on, Summit Chasers? Very excited for this morning. I got to do this one alone. I got to do this one solo. And maybe not solo because I'm gonna have everybody else. I'm gonna have you guys here. But as far as why can't I remove this from there we go. There we go. Now I'm center stage. But good morning. Welcome to another episode of the Summit Coffee Club. I hope everybody had an amazing week. And if you didn't, well, it's about to get a lot better. So very excited for today, like I said. But first, before we get into oh no, my cup got chipped. It's not my cup, so I'm not that sad about it, but I'm still upset about it. But before we get into it, I want to let's really quick a few announcements. One, same one I do every time I go live. Make sure you get your tickets for the Young Professionals Leadership Summit, October 19th in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. For those of you that don't know. And it's going to be $60 for in-person tickets, $20 for the virtual tickets. Go to yplsummit.com. It's yplsummit.com to get your tickets. Very excited. We've kind of figured out a way to make do a few challenges while we're there. So you have some chance to win some swag, even to win some coaching, win some extra developmental pieces and that kind of stuff. So we're very excited about that. And we have some really cool partners that are going to be kind of throwing some things in the hat with us while we're there. One being TruePath, which is bringing AI into developing your resumes, developing very robust, very good resumes. And we know that they're very good because we have some really, really great HR professionals that have done amazing things with amazing companies that have been working and developing this over the last year. And it is astounding what it can do and the type of things that it puts out and the difference between even just a resume that you write on your own, even if you're fairly adept and very experienced at writing your resume or looking at resumes and choosing resumes, the one that this puts out is very pointed. It really allows you to highlight what makes you unique and what's going to make you so successful in these roles. Because there's a lot of people in the job market right now. So anything that you can do to stand out a little bit is going to be, or stand out a lot, is going to be huge for you. And it is also, it's sweater season here. I actually have don't tell my mom, but I have a heated blanket around my feet. Hopefully she's not listening to this. She's going to make fun of me. But it's cold here in Canada. It's getting a little bit chilly. So it is sweater season. I got my grandpa sweater on so I can be nice and comfy for y'all this morning. But another announcement, we have something that we are putting out. By we, I mean at Summit Chasers Network, that we're going to be putting out. And it is going to be, it's a challenge. It's a challenge. And we're going to kind of go through some stuff today where we're going to highlight why this challenge is going to be so impactful. It's going to be so powerful. And it's going to really change a lot of people's, I don't want to say their lives, because that's, it's a little bit, oh, who's here? Oh, there we go. Sorry, I didn't have my comments open. Great to see you, John. Absolutely. Great and needed topic. Absolutely. No, we're very excited for today. She said, "You big God, dang it! My mom is watching." Oh well, you know what? My parents are great. They show up to every hockey game. Even when I was fighting, they would try to show up to my fights, and I know they probably didn't want to. Every CrossFit competition, my mom even actually flew to France with me because my team could make it. And when you're competing in CrossFit, there's so much equipment. We're doing like 8, what did I just do to my hair? We're doing like sometimes 4 or 5 different events a day. And in between events, you just lay there. You just got to relax. You got to recover. So very, very supportive. So I'm very, very appreciative of her, even all the bullshit that she gives me. So really appreciate it. Sweater weather. It is sweater weather. Absolutely, John. It is. It's zesty. I'm not going to say it's cold. It is zesty. And Adriana and I were having an argument yesterday, and her cold is my zesty. So we gotta find a way to get a line with that, or at least come up with a strategy, so that we can get on the same page. We're not arguing everywhere we go, but not in a bad way. But anyways, where was I? Oh yeah, we got something coming. We got a challenge. We're going to be putting on a challenge, and this is a challenge. It's going to be a very powerful, impactful challenge for business owners, or even aspiring business owners, whether you're just starting your business or you've been doing it for 10 years and you just feel like you're hitting a wall. This challenge is going to be called the 5-Day Strategy Core Challenge. But this challenge, and the way that we have it set up, it's going to be me and one of our teammates, Paco, that's going to be running it. And I am so excited about this one because this is a lot of stuff that we've done with our clients. I've done with our businesses, and even Paco has implemented some of this stuff as well. He's amazing at business strategy and looking into the future and identifying weaknesses and opportunities and strengths and how to leverage them. So we're very, very excited about this, but it's going to give you so much clarity as to, okay, where's my business need to go? I know I have goals. I know where I want it to go. I know what it hasn't been able to accomplish. I know that it keeps hitting some sort of wall, but how do I get past that? And one of the worst things that happens when you're a business owner, even if when I was competing in sports, even this is a great analogy for it, is that, okay, I keep getting stuck at this one thing. I can't beat this person, or this event always just gets me. How do I get past it? I've tried everything, literally everything that's legal. I've tried literally everything to get past it. And then in a business, you're like, okay, every year we just can't outperform the market. This competitor just keeps staying this far ahead of us, or we just can't grow past this point. I keep losing people. What's going on? I've tried all these things, and you start throwing things against the wall and hoping that something sticks. And the more things that you throw against the wall, and the more things that fall to the ground, the less clarity, the more dark the tunnel looks. Well, we're going to shine a light in that tunnel for you. And that's exactly what this challenge is going to be. It's going to be 5 days. It's going to be at the end of October. We're thinking it's going to start October 22nd, which is going to be a Tuesday, and it's going to end on a Saturday. And it's going to be an hour to about an hour and a half every night. And everyone's like, well, I don't have an hour and a half every night. You have an hour or an hour and a half every night for 5 days to get your business unstuck, to get clarity on where you need to take your business, the decisions that you need to make, how to make good decisions, how to make strategic decisions, and the difference between a good strategy and a bad strategy. Because that's one thing it keeps so many business owners stuck. I don't know where to go. What do I do? We're going to shine that light for you on this 5-day challenge. It's going to be a 5-day intensive challenge. It's not going to be us sitting there talking to you. You're going to be challenged by us. You'll be challenged by your peers. You're going to be workshopping. And it's going to be 5 days. That's it. 5 days. Everybody can take 5 days, hour and a half, Tuesday to Friday in the evenings, and the last day will be Saturday morning, for clarity, for a way forward, to create what we call a strategy core that's going to allow you to push your business forward and make the right decisions. So we're very excited for that. But anyways, that's enough of the serious stuff. I need a sip of my coffee. All right. So today, there's something interesting that came out. There's a lot of these influencers and YouTubers and that kind of stuff that are starting to start their own businesses. Like, I don't want to say like legit businesses, because a lot of them, their channels, how they run their channels, it is a business. It's an entertainment business. It is what it is. Business owners that don't like to hear that, too bad. It's a business. They make money. They make revenue. They have teams. They pay taxes for the most part. It's a business. But they're starting to branch out and do their own kind of business that would be separate from their channels. And one just got announced. I think it was maybe a week ago now. I'm a little bit slow on this, but we're gonna see if we can take a bit of a different angle in approaching it. But we're gonna do a little versus here, because the product that they brought out, it's directly is competing with a brand, with a product that's been around for as long as I can remember. I think it came out in 1988. I have the information on some of the slides. I think it first came out in 1988. And nobody's really directly competed with it, at least in a long time, and definitely at least successfully. So let's do this. We're going to do a little like versus, right? Product versus product, business versus business. All right. So I don't know if anybody's heard this, but in this corner, we have Lunchly. This is a product that came out from Mr. Beast, Logan Paul, and KSI announced that they want to compete with Lunchables. They're like, you know what? We already have these. I think Mr. Beast I think that those are called Beastables. Those little chocolate bars that Logan Paul is holding up. He has his chocolate bars. And then obviously Logan Paul and KSI, they have their prime. You're like, you know what? Let's partner together. Let's put these together. Let's buy some nachos. Let's buy some little pizzas. Let's buy some crackers and cheese and processed turkey. And let's put them in a box and compete with Lunchables. And I love it. And obviously in this corner, we have Lunchables. Still looks almost the same as it did 30 plus years ago. 36 years ago. The only difference is I think the logo looks a little bit different. and they have Mario and a bunch of Mario characters, but they've had Super Mario Bro characters on there forever, absolutely forever. Because obviously, I think they have that partnership with Nintendo. Unbelievable how long that Lunchables has been able to just stay the same. Now, this is interesting because I talked about it. I think it was last week. I talked about the dangers of directly competing with somebody and focusing on competing with whether it's one or two or three other individual companies, individual entities. Because then the goal becomes, I want to beat them. And then if you're focused on them, you'd be really surprised. And there's tons of examples of this. You'll be really surprised how similar products start to look. And we talked about it last week when we're talking about, I think it was actually this week, when was it the Stripe? Yeah, it was Stripe. Stripe put out the little card reader that you can put on the bottom of your phone, so that people that go to they run their markets, their farmers markets or stuff like that, they can start to take cards. Well, then these other companies that had similar former products that saw themselves as competitors with Stripe, like, well, I'm going to start doing it. It's like Intuit brought out their card reader. PayPal brought out a card reader. Everybody else brought out card. So they're developing all these things. They're just like, okay, if they're doing it, I got to do it because we're competing with them. So the goal became, I need to beat this company. I need to beat this product. As opposed to, I don't want just to beat this product. I want to win. And there's a difference there. And Apple is a good example of that. Apple didn't bother competing with Microsoft and Google at the time. And Microsoft and Google were going back and forth. It's Bing versus Chrome and all this kind of stuff. Google Docs versus Microsoft Word and all those, those types of products like Excel and all that stuff. And they were going back and forth. And then while they were going back and forth, trying to just do the same things as each other, but just I'm going to do it a little bit better, Apple came up and was worth, out of nowhere, $500 billion in market capitalization, which was more than those two companies combined. Whereas 3 or 4 years prior, both those companies individually, Microsoft and Google, were individually worth more than Apple. But Apple was like, no, we're going to win. We're going to focus on winning. We're going to focus on our game. We're going to focus on being unique. We're going to focus on differentiating. And we're going to create assets that are going to outperform either of those buffoons. And they did. And they did, at least for a long time. Google's kind of, they came out of it a little bit stronger than Microsoft, right? They have a lot more kind of going for them as far as different products. And also they're just so in the search, like they still have the search. I know a lot of people are saying that AI is going to kind of take over. Well, Google could create its own AI platform and do just as well. So it's really, really interesting. So, but why do I think that this is such an amazing strategy to directly compete with Lunchables? Well, let's kind of go through some strengths and weaknesses of the both of them. So Lunchly, what are their strengths? They have millions of followers built in. Their marketing dollars could be zero if they wanted to. Mr. Beast gets $200 million views per video. This dude could buy, if you go on eBay, buy one of those brick Nokia phones, which I think are the same phones that every flying saucer video has ever taken on. It's terrible. He could take a video on that thing, on that brick, hold up a Lunchly, and get more views than every news channel combined at the same time. He could get more views than TV in general, than cable TV in general right now, which is where most of Lunchables, which is they're owned by a different company, obviously. They're owned by, I think, Kraft Heinz. We'll find out in a second here. I did all this research a few days ago and last night. But they have so much, like their marketing dollars could be zero. And to the amazing John Duffin's point, Logan is a phenomenal media presence. I'm still going old school Lunchables. I'm with you, John. I'm with you. Right, we got to fight that. We got to keep them in business. Although I think they'll be fine if they don't have our business, but I'm with you. They're experts in modern marketing tactics. They're absolutely experts, and a lot of it's because they have that they have that presence, right? And they're backed by huge brands, and huge brands being people, and the individual products that they put in there, like the Prime, the Beastables. I guess that's it. And then the Logan Paul's brand, which he has like sponsorships with. Well, like John, actually, that was good timing. with WWE. He's on there with WWE, and Prime is sponsored by them. I think Prime is even in the UFC. It's in Walmart. It's everywhere. It's absolutely everywhere. And they're utilizing already existing and successful products, which I love. So they have their Beastables, which Mr. Beast was already selling. He's trying to compete with modern. He's trying to compete with already, present chocolate bars, and not trying to be. And I'll explain why I think this is great. But and then the Prime obviously is in there. They already have that. Let's just make a smaller bottle and put it in there. And then, okay, let's get some nacho cheese. But that stuff, the nachos and the pizzas and that kind of stuff, let's be honest, that's not what's selling at all, right? And they're catering to a newly active target audience. And what I mean by newly active target audience is probably in the last 5 years. It used to be where these products that were geared towards kids, the marketing tactics of the companies used to have to market to the parents, because the parents were the ones that were digesting all the marketing materials. They were the ones paying attention to the commercials when they were watching TV. They were the ones listening to the radio on the way to work. They were the ones reading the newspaper. They were the ones that were they were online more often when Lunchables was out. Well, now kids ages fucking seems like 3, but realistically, I think like 6 or 7 are consuming YouTube, social media, which is awful, by the way. I think it's terrible. Not so much on the YouTube side of things, but the TikTok and social media side of things. I think they should be much older when they start to, they need to start understanding the regalities of it. Like, this isn't real life. These people aren't actually like this. They're probably, most of them are miserable in real life. And if you could fast forward 10 years, they're not going to look like this. But anyways, that's another topic for another day. I forget where I was at. Oh yeah, so these kids, they're the ones consuming. So now they're marketing. They have the ability to market to the kids, to the actual consumers of the products, as opposed to having to market to the kids. Sorry, to the parents. So they're much more active in front of these newly active target audiences, which is the kids. They're going to go, they're like, well, KSI had this. I want this one. I don't want Lunchables. And parents will be like, oh, but it's 20 cents more. But mom, the Prime has more B vitamins in it. It's like, okay, fine. And we'll get into the whole like comparative as far as like, which one has higher quality than the other one. I mean, it's okay. Yeah, Lunchly is probably a little bit more higher quality. They say it uses real cheese, and the crackers look a little bit better, and the meat is real and that kind of stuff. And it's crazy when we're at a point where it's like our main differentiators, we use real cheese when we say it's cheese as opposed to cheese products. So it's interesting, but they do have better ingredients. They do. It is a little bit better. I didn't put that on here because I don't think to that target audience that really matters that much. I don't think they really care. To the parents, it might matter, right? So when the kids are arguing, they have a little bit more. They're giving the kids more ammo to why they should choose Lunchly over Lunchables. But see, what strengths do Lunchables have? They've been around a while, 1988, right? They're a one of hundreds of products of Kraft Heinz, which is worth $42 billion in market cap. And they have Kraft Heinz is over 200 brands. In 2023, Kraft Heinz net sales were approximately $26.6 billion, with $18.4 billion of that coming from North America. Less than 0.2. I think it's like 0.1, between 1.5 and 1.2, but it's less than 0.2% of that came from Lunchables. They're competing with a company that doesn't even care to exist, probably. If Lunchables went away, Kraft Heinz would be fine. They would dump that money elsewhere. Or they could, if they wanted to, they could invest in rebranding Lunchables and make it just as good as Lunchly and directly compete with them. Although then I think in that case, that would be the idea of we're just competing to beat somebody as opposed to competing to win, which would be, it's just not a fight that they need to win, that they need to fight. All right. In the words of the grandpa from the Three Ninjas, you never fight a fight unless you think you're going to win. Lunchables doesn't need to win that. They don't even need to. They probably wouldn't. I mean, I guess with me and John, they probably would win our vote, maybe. I don't know, actually. It is, they did a comparison between the two, and, it does, the Lunchly looks a little bit better. It does look a little bit better. And also, I do like Prime. So I'm starting to see, to sway. But it's a really interesting, because Lunchly, they saw such an opportunity here. They went into a market, they went into a compete against a product that hasn't really had competition. The only other competition that it has had was really those, like you could go to like the gas stations and they'll have like the really healthy ones, like the crackers that no kid would ever want to eat, right? I like it. They're really crunchy. They kind of cut your mouth a little bit. And then it has, I think it comes with like vegetables, and then even like the dessert that comes with it. It's like chocolate covered raisins and that. Like it's not a Kit Kat bar. So they're not competing with the same audience. That'll be a sub market. They're competing against the adults that they work construction, or that they need just a quick. They're on the road, whatever it is, and they need a quick, semi healthy, easy to digest, easy to use, easy to clean up lunch. Different market. They're competing in a completely different market. So Lunchables, so Lunchly is coming in and competing against a business, against a product that hasn't had competition in a very specific market. And that's why Lunchly, everyone, I've seen a lot of stuff online about it. It's like Lunchly's not that much better than Lunchables. If they did come in that much better than Lunchables, they'd be competing in a different market. Completely different market. They're competing in the market of like 8 to or 7 or 6 to 12-year-olds. And if they would have went so much, if they would have changed that to like a health food product, they'd be competing in a different market. They wanted to directly compete with Lunchables. So they still have the pizza, they still have the nachos, they still have the, the stack 'em thing where you have like the crackers, the cheese, and the little turkey slices. But they made it better. It has less sugar, it has less salt, less fat. And the cheese is real, the meat is more real. So they gave you a better option. And the Prime is better than Capri Sun. You get more of it, much better than Capri Sun. And the Beastables chocolate is like, I don't know, it's Mr. Beast. Who cares? It's not like that much better for you. I think it tastes better. That's been the reviews that I've seen. It tastes better than some of these other products, especially in the States. But if they would have tried to make it so much better, it was like a health food product, they wouldn't have been competing with Lunchables anymore. They wanted to compete because they saw an opportunity. Now Lunchables, they kind of fall into this. It's an interesting space that they're in. Like they've been the one selling the kids Lunchable, the lunch packages product for forever. And you see businesses and products in this case where they fall into a few different things. So there's inertia, negative inertia. You see this with businesses who have, they've been doing things a certain way for a very long time. Or they kind of get to that point where, okay, we can't change, because if we did change, we'd have to dump a bunch of resources into R&D over here. But if we dumped a bunch of resources over there, our profit margins are already so small that it would break us. So we have to keep going this way. We have to, right? So that's called inertia by proxy, when they're just kind of stuck and they have to keep going that way. And then there's inertia by culture, where it's like, this is how we've always done it. I don't want to change, right? I like my Lunchables like this, right? Let's keep Mario on there. Let's not put any other characters. Oh, Donkey Kong. Okay, we'll put Donkey Kong on there, whatever. So they kind of are stuck in this. I think it's more along the lines of entropy, where it's worked for so long, doing what they've been doing. They don't want to change anything. They don't want to touch it. They don't want to take any chances. But if you, as a business owner, and this is with anything, if you don't actively keep trying to improve it, it's like the human body. We can get into a certain, shape, right? We can get into shape. We can eat well for a long time. But then we're like, okay, I'm good where I'm at. I'm just going to keep it here. And you don't do anything, your body entropies. And you start losing muscle. You start gaining fat, right? You start losing bone density, right? Your brain stops working as well. Same thing with business. Okay, business is going, Lunchables is good, it's selling. Let's just leave it. Let's just keep doing what we're doing the exact same way. Over time, it gets worse. And a lot of times it's because other things look so much better. Like Lunchly comes along and makes you just look that bad, even though you're doing the same things. You look that much worse because now they're comparing you to a better product. Or you just naturally get worse. Management starts to get a little bit lazy, right? Because that's just human nature. If we keep doing the same things every day, all the time, we end up getting a little bit lazy. We end up getting You know, what's the point of life? I'm not growing. I'm not going anywhere. I'm at where I'm at, right? I'm not going to get any promotions. Lunchables isn't going to sell more this year. So I'm just going to coast. Complacency is one of the biggest reasons that people regress. So that's entropy. That is entropy. And as you see, that was Lunchables, and Lunchly saw that opportunity. They can utilize their own products already. All right, so let's get this back up here. They can utilize their own products already. So here's some opportunities from Lunchly. Again, so they already have the products that they can use. So their overhead's not going to greatly increase their overhead, right? Their cost of goods sold, because they already have those products. They already make Prime. They're already manufacturing the chocolate bars. All they got to do is make a box, make the box a little bit more differentiated from Lunchables, cater it more to their target audience, make it more their own brand, because people recognize their brand, they want to be a part of it, and then add in a slightly better cheese product for their nachos. Right, so an opportunity for Lunchly is they're competing against an opponent who they haven't had to compete for a long time and take advantage of that negative inertia and entropy that I mentioned before. Lunchables threats, who cares? Who literally cares? Like I said, they're 0.1 something percent of Kraft Heinz's revenue. They could easily allocate those resources somewhere else and make up for it. Absolutely. I don't think that they should. Now we're competing with Lunchly. Let's rebrand Lunchables and let's try to knock them off their high. That's not going to work. It's not going to happen. Don't fight the fight unless you think you're going to win. And don't fight the fight unless it's not even worth winning. And it's just not. Who cares? Take Lunchables down, Lunchly. You got this. All right? Me and John will keep buying Lunchables. We'll keep you in business for an extra 3 days. It is what it is. So that's my verse. I think that Lunchly is going to take down Lunchables, and the outcome is going to be, who cares? Nobody. I think the kids are going to have. I think it's going to be good for kids to have a different option. Parents to have different options. But at the end of the day, parents, just cook food for your kids. I know that you're busy and everyone's working and that kind of stuff, but your kids' health and what they put in their body is worth the extra 5 minutes. We could show you lots of ways where you can make them like a healthier option of like spaghetti and meatballs, and then package it for the week. Just do that. And then on the other day, when you are busy, you're stressed and this kind of stuff, okay, get some Lunchly. And I think that's probably the better option. That's my take. That's my hot take. Now, we have a special little segment I want to do for this today. So I have an award that I want to give out. And that award, and I'm going to try to do this every week. It's not going to be the same type of award, but it's going to be an award. All right. And this week, the award is, what is the most unique business award? Or so what is the most unique business? And I have somebody. I have a business where I think it's the most unique business I've ever seen. And I'm very excited to present this award to a business. It's called John Breaks Bad News. That's the business. And I did a little video. So it's called John Breaks Bad News. Let John break your bad news so you don't have to. I thought this was brilliant. I don't know where I found them. I don't care where I found them. I just care that I did. It is absolutely hilarious. So John will break the bad news for you so you don't have to. But how does the bad news work? John goes live on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, Kick every Thursday at 7 p.m. During his live streams, he calls people to deliver bad news from friends, family, acquaintances, enemies, etc., who they don't want to break the bad news themselves. So you can outsource breaking bad news. Nobody likes to break bad news. Nobody. Although I think it is a good skill to have, healthy conflict. I think it's a good skill to have. But, while you're practicing on this skill and you have some bad news that you need to break, also, can I just, I just thought of this. Do not utilize this to fire people. First of all, that's probably illegal in some cases. It is the best way to get nobody to ever want to work for you again. And also, come on, if you want to be successful, don't. But as far as like telling your friends that I don't like your cooking, this is brilliant. This is brilliant. You can finally break the ice and have those honest conversations with your friends and family. But how much does it cost? It's free. But because of the demand, John may not get every request during his next live stream. If you choose to tip John, then your bad news request will be placed on the expedited calls list. Tips are 100% optional. I love this. This is like business 101. It's sales 101. There's high demand. He's telling you that there's high demand. FOMO. You better pay, or I mean, if you do, you don't have to pay, but if you do, it's more likely that you're going to get on my Twitch and Instagram and TikTok and all those things. Scarcity effect. He's utilizing the scarcity effect to a T here, right? And it's brilliant. You don't have to pay. But hey, if you actually want me to call the person and do the thing, at least increase the chances of it happening, shoot me $5, right? I love it. All right. If your call is so you tip, it gets on the expedited list, and he'll attempt to make the call to the best of his ability on his next live. And then you click on that button to submit your bad news requests. Absolutely brilliant. There's his there's his on his YouTube channel, and how to tip. He tells you how to tip. You have no excuses not to tip. If you want to tip, there's tipping methods. You fill out this little form as far as what's the bad news that you want to, what's the name of the person, the phone number, what's the bad news that you want to break. Try to keep it short and sweet. And then this is it. That's his channel. That's what he does. Brilliant. I know there's no sound, but I just realized this guy's name was Zach. So he's calling him. Not interesting when you talk about Greek food. So that's that kind of stuff. Like, I have a friend who just talks about Greek food all the time. And I just want to let that friend know that, look, it's boring when you talk about Greek food. It is absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. So, most unique business award goes to John Breaks Bad News. So very, very excited that I found that. I thought it was so cool. And it's just so interesting. So congratulations, John Breaks Bad News. Check your inbox, and you'll have a picture of me high-fiving you from there. But that's it for today, everybody. We got Lunchly versus Lunchables. Lunchly's going to win because who cares? And the winner of the most unique business for this week is John Breaks Bad News. And again, I'm going to come back to talking about the challenge that we got going on. The reason that one of the big reasons that I thought of the challenge is because when we were doing case studies with my friend John, I went back through and was looking at some of the case studies that we had. And a lot of them looked a lot like this. I have a small IT consulting firm, been in biz for 3 years now. While I have some really loyal clients, the business isn't growing at the rate I want. I've invested more in marketing, hired more staff to handle potential new clients, even added services. My approach has been pretty reactive. We kind of will just try to work with anyone, regardless of whether they were a good fit. I know how that feels, and that happens to a lot of people, a lot of business owners, especially when they're doing services. Now I feel we are juggling too many projects, which is causing some poor client reviews. Not really sure where to start, as I feel I have tried everything. This is why we're doing this challenge. This is why. I don't know where to go. I'm just going to work with anybody. We need to get money. We need revenue. We need clients. We need clients. In order to get more clients, we need clients. So you just work with anybody. You have no clear way forward other than just go, other than just try a bunch of tactics. You've invested in marketing. You've hired more staff, and you've tried sales tactics, right? All these performance marketing companies that just scam you. You've dumped a bunch of money into those. You need a clear way forward, not just a bunch of random tactics. You need coherent actions. Coherent, meaning each one makes sense and feeds into the next and creates leverage along the path of strategy, the path of success. And that means clarity. It means looking at your business in a different way. And that's what this challenge is going to do. I absolutely guarantee it. Absolutely guarantee it. Why can I guarantee it? Because I've done it a ton before with a ton of clients and myself. And I've also learned what happens myself if you don't have clarity in your actions, in your strategy, in your way forward. So in this case, with this one, I would be, okay, you've tried everything. You're working with everybody. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What are your differentiators? What are your resources? What are your competitive advantages? And then let's start there. Start utilizing those. What are your weaknesses? Let's start to what do we need to avoid? What are your threats? What are your competitions? Competitors. What are your competitions? What are your competitors? Who can you help? Who would you most effectively serve? Because this is a big one where everybody just goes, "Why? This? I'll work with anybody." It doesn't work. It doesn't work. Like, especially when you're starting out. Later on, when you have a brand, when you have a big client base, when you have a ton of testimonials and reviews, and you have money in the bank that you can kind of utilize on some of these resources. Okay, sure, expand, right? But you got to start. You got to start an inch wide, mile deep. But this is why we started that challenge, and it's going to start October 22nd. Is when the first cohort is going to start. This first one is going to be at a very, very discounted, because obviously it's going to be our first one, and we want to make sure that it's right before we start charging what we're going to be charging. So this first one's going to be very, very discounted. I think it's going to be like $100. But going forward, it is going to be much more than that, because the value that you're going to get, we won't do anything unless we know that we're going to at least bare minimum get a 10x, be able to provide a 10x return. When really it's like 100x. It could be 100x return, let alone for $100, it's like 1,000x return. And I know that, and I can guarantee that. So if you're interested in learning more about the challenge, let me know. Send me a message on LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, X. I don't care. You can send me a message, and then we can talk about getting you into that first, getting you more information about that challenge. Or you could go to scngetstarted.com. You can check it out there as well, and you can even sign up for it there. So with that being said, everybody, thank you so much for joining me on this Summit Coffee Club, this beautiful Saturday morning. I'm a little bit too warm now with this heated blanket, so I'm going to take that off a little bit. But I really appreciate everybody for being here. Thank you for engaging. And if you're watching this rerun, I appreciate you too. But until next time, everybody, keep chasing your next summit.